Welcome. Look at that. To the PP1 Podcast. Your Canucks are winners of 2 straight against Montreal Canadiens and Ottawa Senators. But wins are wins, baby. That's 4 points they didn't have at the beginning of the week. We are proudly presented on the Dean Blundell Network. We are partnered with our good friends at Summerskates and Manscaped. Oh, look at how I do that. I'm so good.
Oh.
What's up? Yo, yo, yo. Exactly. Ted knows what's up. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Yeah. Just watched a rare Canucks win, so that was fun.
That was fun. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna try to see what's up. How you doing, man? Uh-oh.
Doing good.
I did a double.
Yeah.
I did a double loop there. I'm trying to figure out how to share. How do you share YouTube? How do you do that?
Don't you go to YouTube and then copy the link and then attach it to your tweet?
That might be it. So I'll let you play around with that at some point. Yeah, it's been not quite a week. But the last time we got together, we had Wyatt and Jay Bowman, Jordan Bowman from
that was fun.
Process. That was a different thing. And listening back when I was editing all the clips, that was a lot of fun. I laughed again, and I was part of it, and I still laughed. So it must have been fun. Just saying. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, it was intolerable.
I tolerated what happened. I'm tolerating what the Canucks have been doing. I think that's that's about all you can say right now.
Sure, it's fine. It's better than watching the alternative.
Well, I guess the alternative would just be not watching the Canucks, I suppose. That's probably more exciting.
Right.
Like, I was out in the backyard before we started here, and might not be exciting to some. I was picking up dog poop, and it wasn't actually exciting to me. But here's the kicker. What's the date today?
Oh, it's December 1st, baby.
December 1st. I was literally wearing pajama pants and this T-shirt. Probably could have done the podcast from my deck. It was that warm outside. Like,
we took the dog for a walk. It's like 10 degrees outside or something. It's ridiculous.
Man, like, it was, at some point today, it was like 17. December the 1st. No jacket. This is weird. This is the new world we live in. We're eventually going to have Christmas time in August. So we're going to flip. We're going to have snow in the summer, and we're going to have hot winters. Actually, that wouldn't be the worst. Wouldn't be the worst.
A hot winter, yeah.
Gets you through this time. I mean, it'd be kind of weird. You have a Christmas tree up and there's no snow. Celebrate Canada Day like the true way to celebrate it in the snow. So maybe there is hope for global warming. if I were to say that global warming is a positive thing, that would be the one thing.
Is that we get a warm winter.
Yeah, the 2 million other things outweigh it. So whatever. It is what it is. So, yeah. Kind of nice being outside and it not being cold. It's a good feeling. Good feeling. The Canucks winning 2 games in a row. Actually, they've had a couple games beyond that. I mean, they played Boston fairly decently. It wasn't a great game, but they were in it. And I think they've had better efforts. They haven't had like amazing output. The goal scoring hasn't been there. Clearly,
I did hear a small clamoring for the moral victories through some of those games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, remember when moral victories came out and that was a thing?
Yeah, I mean, what did Canucks win this game? Spoiler alert, 6-2.
Yeah,
remember when PD used to roll out 5-point games?
Like it was no big deal.
Those things used to happen.
Quinn Hughes had 4 points tonight.
He did, yeah. He looked good.
I think Miller had. Did he have 3 or 4 points as well?
Miller had a goal and 2 assists. That goal was ridiculous. And
what was
Connor Garland had 2 assists as well. Shen had 2 points.
He did. What were you saying about Miller?
His goal was ridiculous.
This goal?
Yeah.
JT Miller. Right back in. Miller going to the net. Great play. Great goal. JT Miller. What a move and what a finish.
Let's do that without the overlay one more time.
JT Miller. Right back in. Miller going to the net. Great play. Great goal.
I don't know. I kind of like the overlay. It looked like he went from one camera to the next. It was
It's like those
classic
really
Wayne's World. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 1,
Yeah.
camera 2. Yeah.
classic when you have a really nice setup kind of goal in your home office. Like, I have 2 screens, no big deal.
So Miller just cuts through the swath, goes 1-on-4.
Have you ever seen a goal like that before?
It's just such dog shit defending by Ottawa, which is great. I'm here for it. But then it also makes you wonder a little bit why Vancouver carries a similar record.
Yeah. Quick shout out to the people that are going to clearly roast us on this. Connor McDavid goal, JT Miller goal. What was more impressive? That's right. It was great. It wasn't the greatest thing I've ever seen. That's what I'm trying to say. Now we have our own version, and I had to do a double take. I thought, wow, that was a great goal. And my very first thought was, if this was Connor McDavid, this would be on every highlight reel in every possible language that we speak in this country.
Because he would have did it faster. I mean, you could say that it was Connor McDavid-esque.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
But is it going to get the same love? Like tomorrow morning, will it have the same love as that McDavid goal?
Probably not. But you're something if you can make love show up in Edmonton national media wide.
That's true. I mean, it is something if you can make love in Edmonton. Nobody's doing that out there. Pretty ugly place. So tonight, whoever's tuning in, hopefully you guys get some comments in here. We are going to give away to a new listener or someone that hasn't won or a new viewer the 3-for-1 Summerskates deal, and you're going to want to be all about that. Okay? So tune in. If you haven't been here before, come on in. We're more than willing to help you out. The Summerskates, so the Black Friday deal and the Cyber Monday deal, those are over. You missed out. You had an opportunity, but it doesn't mean we can't take care of you. So basically, you buy 1 pair, you get 3 pairs. Win. Like, what's not to like? I've got, I think I have 3 pairs sitting somewhere in my house right now. 1 for the backyard, 1 for the front yard. And I got a box of those black ones. So we got to start moving those. Do you need a new pair? Can I sell you a pair?
Yeah. Why not?
Okay.
Sure. I only have like 4 or 5 of them.
So what's a 6th, basically?
Yeah, and I'm always wearing them until I find myself wearing them around the house. Like I got these ones. These are my work ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. You guys did work ones. Those are great. Yeah. They're comfy. Hey, like
they're great.
We're not just saying that. Like they are comfy. I
have my like in the house pair, and then I have my take the dog outside for a number 2 pair.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have my pair that I wear to the gym before I change into my gym shoes. And then I have like my summer pair that I wear to the beach. It's great.
I mean, if there ever was spokespeople for the Summerskates brand, I would say we are the ones.
Mm-hmm.
Hands down. I've been thinking about some things for the Canucks because, I mean, I've got some time when there isn't much going on with this team. You really got to get creative.
Sometimes it seems like nobody else is thinking about things to do for the Canucks.
Yeah,
and by that I mean the organization, not us.
I mean, if they're tapping us on the shoulder, the problems are a lot bigger than we thought. So this kind of got me thinking on 2 levels. So we chatted about on our football show the other day about the Seahawks and how they haven't utilized DK Metcalf, right? And like how they're
I think we got a pretty good description of that when our guest was on, but
yeah. So they're having to. I mean, the ultimate thing is they have to get creative to make a guy like him work to be able to utilize his true talent and his running skills and his battering ram skills. And then I started thinking about the Canucks. So we look at what's going on right now, and yeah, things are like they aren't the absolute worst, but there's a lot of room for improvement. On the power play, on the penalty kill, goaltending seems to be fine as long as, there's 2 healthy bodies in front of them. And I was thinking, like, I know they have these guys, like an offensive and defensive coordinator in football. And I know there's usually like a coach for the defense, and usually the head coach kind of heads up like the offense, right? Usually, and then they've kind of got the power play kind of thing. But what if they had like dedicated, like, and again, I know these coaches exist, but wouldn't it be nice to know that there was more of an emphasis on each zone? Like we could actually see that working a little bit more.
Oh, like to see them. It's so tough with hockey, right? I mean, the game happens with like a level of like fluidity and flow.
Yeah.
And I know that you can play like, you know, like 1 forechecker, you know, 2 forecheckers, 2 neutral zone, you know, 1 defender. Like you can do 3 forecheckers, 2 in the neutral zone, 1 back. Like there's lots of ways you can do it, but it always seems like it's somewhat difficult to track.
Right.
And it's not like installing in defense and football where you're saying like, oh, we're going with 4 linebackers or we're going to go with 3 linebackers, right? I mean,
it's one play at a time.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Right. So it's just and it's just like it works the same way in football when you see a 4-3 linebacker go to a team that runs a 3-4 defense, and maybe he doesn't have the same kind of statistics that he did the year before.
Right.
So it happens both ways. It's just, I think it's easy. It's more easy to identify in football than it is in hockey. And it's probably different. It's probably difficult to make entire wholesale defensive scheme changes in hockey because defense is such a team thing, right?
Yeah.
And so everything's got to change. The way your breakouts start, the way you travel through the neutral zone, the way that you enter the zone, the way that you keep possession once you're in the zone. So it's, again, I don't know where I'm going with this, except for I feel like it's a little bit more difficult to track, and possibly it's more difficult to make changes that are ingrained into your forwards and your defensemen's heads from the start of the season, or however many years they've played in that system for, to just start making changes on how you do things, because the game flows differently and everybody has to be on the same page.
So I guess my next question would be then, I mean, you're bang on that. And I think it is tough to think of them as the same sport because you can't, because one is a play at a time. You can game plan for one play, one scheme, one formation. You know, these are the likely outcomes, right?
Yeah.
But I guess at this point,
they call it a game script in football, right? Like that's why
true.
It does and it doesn't sometimes follow the game script. But the fact that you can make a script for football, it just kind of gives you a lot of the information you need right there.
Right. So I guess if we were to look at this rationally, because we are two rational human beings, if you were to say that, I mean, overall, 2 seasons ago, we were saying that Travis Green was a great coach and should be signed immediately, right? Everybody was waiting. We were waiting for the, I think so. We were waiting for that contract to get signed, like either, sign him or let him go. And, they're letting it go and go and go. And the team was doing fairly well. They just let it go and go and go. And eventually they signed him, basically at the 11th hour. So if the team, let's say that they do believe in him still. Let's just say. Now, I know you're not going to be able to make a wholesale change mid-season, but don't you think it would be worth working on not blowing it up, but seriously, like, making some significant changes to how your team operates? Like, you've had this same system ingrained. Could you not slowly tweak that and be willing to take maybe a few losses to, you think it just beginning of season or nothing?
Yeah, of course you can. I think Alain Vigneault was a perfect example of that, right? This first year taking over for Vancouver, the personnel that he was saddled with was, I don't want to say incompetent, but it was a defensively minded personnel team. So everything was shots from the outside, block everything you can, don't let anything get to the high danger areas. You're looking at Luongo stopping 35, 40 shots a night, but it was everything from the outside, and he got to the playoffs like that.
Yeah.
Enter a new GM, Vigneault gets the hard interview. I don't think anybody saw him surviving a GM change. He does the interview with Gillis, says, look, the only reason I coached a defensive system is because I had a defensive team. Get me some offensive players and I'll coach you an offensive team. And so he did it, right? I mean, then the next thing that happened was you see, Daniel and Henrik winning scoring titles and Art Ross's, right? So you can change as a coach. I think that certain coaches probably bend towards a certain way than another, just like so many of those coaches that come out of New Jersey are all defensively minded coaches, as Jacques Lemaires of the world in Minnesota. And then you look at offensive coaches like Bruce Boudreau, or who's coaching in Washington, or even Barry Trotz to a certain extent, are guys that coached good defense but went to offense. But they always had that bent to their game. I don't know. We don't know enough about Travis, even though it's been X amount of years, about what he can actually do as a coach. one thing we do know for sure is, aside from Quinn Hughes, I think just about every single defenseman that's played on this roster has suffered from a point perspective.
Yeah.
So maybe offense doesn't come from the point other than from a guy like Hughes, because you just can't stop ad-libbing there.
Right.
But, it doesn't, I don't think he has the best roster either, and that doesn't help him. But I think you can make changes as the coaches. I don't know if Dreen is that guy that can, though.
So you just, I guess it might be possible, but maybe he's not the one to carry it through. I guess the other thing too is like looking at the power play would be the big one. That would be the toughest thing. Well, the toughest thing would be 5-on-5. I look at that power play and it was the same thing. It has been the same thing for almost 3 years, like the same setup, that same umbrella. Eventually it gets to Pettersson or Hughes. Like it's ultimately those are your two trigger men, regardless.
It seems like they're trying to do more from the bumper there, and it's not a shooting power play as much as it used to be, but it does look eerily similar. I know what you're talking about,
like
and part
overall,
of the reason why it looks the same year after year is because of the way that teams figure it out, right? It just looks like, doesn't it seem like every other team in the league gains the zone better than Vancouver does? And that's partly because we watch it so frequently.
You know what? I think they've gained the zone and held it a lot better in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Well, like calendar year, I'll say calendar year than previous. It used to be such a struggle. Even Detroit, the one of the worst teams, was gaining the zone. And now I find they are gaining the zone a lot easier, but it's just that, again, once they set up, it's the same setup. They're not
scare anybody.
No, but
it doesn't scare anybody.
It's too predictable. So, I mean, so is the Tampa Bay Lightning's power play. So is Washington's. Those are the two we always bring up because even though you know what's going to happen, they still score goals and they're dangerous and they have the guys to make it happen. On the power play overall, I know Chason's not a great example, but they could utilize their perfect power play. It's just they haven't been able to produce on it, so they've had to change it up to have a guy like Chason on there. Realistically, they had 5 guys that can make it work. It just didn't work.
There's just no continuity there. And Chason is a very viable net front presence. I don't care what anybody says. I mean,
he's not a flashy name, but yeah.
In an ideal world, you probably don't want him on your PP1, but PP2, I mean, or even if one is struggling and what you're doing isn't working and you need a body in front of the net, then it's Chason. Fine, switch it up a little bit. But Vancouver's inability to react and adjust is always been, I feel like, the kryptonite.
Yeah, I mean, how often do you see Brock Besser get his shot when it's usually Pettersson, maybe Hughes? How often do you really get to see the kickback to JT Miller or Bo Horvat gets to really, press down low? That worked for a time. That's when that power play really started to go. Was that Pettersson's rookie year when they really started to click? And then it just kind of faded away. And I think you can get back to that, but I think you need to basically break down what that scheme is and reinvent it. And I think that's something you can do because it's special teams. That's not going to happen all the time, but at least you can work on like, hey guys, this is the new scheme we're going to work with. We're going to have some bumps and bruises, not like we're scoring goals anyway. If we can start utilizing how this works, maybe you have, 2 defense. Maybe it goes down to the 2 defensemen, 3 forward. Maybe they switch that up again and go back to like the traditional power play that we grew up with.
I like having Chason out there. And I think that having like a PP1 with Miller, Chason, and Pettersson, with Hughes up top, and then whoever else you need to throw in there probably works for one. And then the second unit could be something like Besser, Horvat, and then whoever you think the second net front guy is. Like maybe it's Pods, who knows, right? Maybe Horvat's the net front presence, and you're carrying on the wing Höglander and Besser, and I don't know who's up top yet either. But
yeah,
this loading it up on everybody on one line, it hasn't been working, and it didn't work again tonight, and it was Chason that looked good out there too. So yeah, I mean, it's just everywhere, right? I mean, we're talking about the power play, and it's good. I think it's neat that we're talking about the power. There's so many other things with this organization that are so screwed up right now that that seeing them win is nice, but when you're like 100 ticks in the hole with how you feel about your team, a win only takes you up a couple of ticks to get you closer back to zero, right? So
you climb one rung, but you're still in that deep pit.
You're still at the bottom of the ladder, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, I'm always thinking about that system because I know there is talent on this team. It's just that it feels like it's not being utilized the way it should be. I mean, there are more wins. There should be more wins on this roster than there are.
Oh, I mean, the easiest way to look at it is to look at teams like Detroit and teams like Ottawa and teams like Vancouver.
Yeah.
And yeah, Vancouver looks significantly better than Ottawa this game. Mm-hmm. But one team had expectations as challenging in the playoffs and making some noise. At least according to one Jim Benning a couple of years back, that this was supposed to be the year. And one team is clearly rebuilding and is playing around with a fairly shit roster that they're in well positioned to make up picks over the next couple of years. Vancouver doesn't have that luxury. It's got a bunch of expensive players on it that are supposed to win now, and it's not. So that's why people are really impatient with it.
Yeah. The nice thing is that we are starting to see our main guys, like the Bo Horvats, the Quinn Hughes, JT Miller, Pettersson's climbing, but I mean, Connor Garland is like, all those guys are still kind of keeping pace with where we're hoping they've been. Bo Horvat is still he's kind of carrying everybody, not in the traditional way that a team gets carried on his back, but it seems like when push comes to shove, Bo Horvat seems to be there to start making that difference. I mean, he had a great snipe tonight. Obviously, JT Miller had a phenomenal goal. Mm-hmm. It's nice to see Quinn Hughes doing what he's doing. Quinn Hughes is right at the top. Like he's quietly, because
he's having a nice bounce back.
He's having a good season. It just sucks that you don't really get to hear about it because we're focusing on all the bad stuff, right? But it's good to see that those guys at least are dominating, or not dominating, but
16 points in 22 games, almost 25 minutes a night for Quinn. Miller's finally just dipped down below the point per game mark, but these are also the guys that people are calling about. Like the Canucks are getting phone calls about the JT Millers on this team and Brock Besser types and even Bo Horvat for teams that are in the hunt, that are looking for players that are close to expiring contracts that are contributing players on this roster. And Bo's down a little bit, 6-6 through 23 games, and that's not a regular season for him either. But these are still sought after guys. So we know that, I think we've talked about this before, we're in this sort of waiting for the shoe to drop scenario.
Yeah.
With Vancouver. And I think with the shoe dropping, it's, we know we're going to see coaches leave. We fucking hope that we're going to see GMs leave. There's a good possibility that we're going to see players leave the squad too. And if I'm being completely honest, like,
say it, I'm thinking it.
If I'm being completely honest, like, nobody on this roster is safe for Quinn Hughes is safe.
Thank you.
Not a single one. Not even Pettersson. Like,
nope.
Of course you have to. It doesn't make a lot of sense for them to trade Pettersson, being that they just re-signed him and he's on that 2-year deal, and somebody would have to take that back. But
he's a right offer. He's a valuable commodity.
Yeah,
on any
team. Yeah, you're right. For the right offer, like, man, nobody's safe on this squad. Bo, Demko, the only guy who is untouchable in my opinion is Quinn Hughes.
See, and I would say, and I personally I'd add Demko, and not because he's not untouchable. It's because I don't think, DiPietro just isn't there. I just don't think that there is a good enough answer without them having to pay for it more than they've already paid. You've got a guy that you can absolutely trust in net, even on a shitty team, and you'll still be okay. Like, the way he's been playing this season, how many times has he done the K-tail patty stack, or how many times he flicked the leg out or made, like, he's playing at an elite level. His statistics don't show it, unfortunately, because of the team in front of him, but he's having a pretty impressive season. Again, not statistically, and unfortunately that's what a lot is going to be dictated by, but game in and game out, Thatcher Demko keeps the Canucks in every single game, and so does Quinn Hughes. But you're right. I think I was thinking about the other day. Like, I think someone floated out, was it like Pettersson for Barzal or something like that? And I thought, I mean, there'd be public outcry, but at the same time, like, you know what you get in Barzal.
Yeah, I mean, I think the
Like,
Islanders
he's a game.
they'd be
Yeah,
taking
they'd
the
be
risk,
pissed.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, both sides would be pissed. I think the Islanders would probably be more pissed because, I mean, he's done a lot more with his body of work than Pettersson has, realistically.
So I would challenge you on the Demko thing. And it's
Okay.
not that I disagree that Demko's not having a phenomenal season and looks like the unequivocal starter for this roster.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you can replace a top 20 goaltender because to
Not
me
easily.
there's better than 20 goaltenders in this league that can play, and a lot of them are on two teams. So not easily, I think, is the key answer there. But I mean, you look at the top goaltenders in this league right now, it's Jack Campbell, Cam Talbot, Mikko Koskinen, Frederik Andersen, Igor Shesterkin, Tristan Jarry. Vasilevsky's a big name.
Yeah.
John Gibson's a big name. Bobrovsky's a big name, right? But I mean, it took us until we got into like the 7, 8, 9 spots before we found the regular suspects, right?
Mm-hmm.
Darcy Kemper's another guy, like Elvis Merzlikins. Like, you can develop goaltenders, and we have a goaltender whisperer on this team in the form of Ian Clark. So whoever Ian Clark says that we're going to have as the next guy, I would feel confident in it. And whoever ends up in Vancouver, if it's not Demko, I would feel confident in. Obviously, he's here now, and if Demko stays, I'm stoked. Right. But to me, if somebody is offering you something for Thatcher Demko, that's going to be a replaceable asset down the road easily.
You take every phone call. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You'd be stupid to not.
I think goaltenders. The point that I'm trying to make on this one, I think goaltenders are easier to replace than you think. You don't even have to draft goaltenders in the first round to get really good ones.
No, you don't. I think you just have to be patient, or just know what you've got.
Develop them.
Yeah. But I mean, you can develop guys. Doesn't mean they're going to turn out to be, Vezina winners. They might just be a guy that fills in 50 games.
Yeah, I mean, but I think there's lots of teams that would take a Tristan Jarry, or lots of teams that would take. I mean, Frederik Andersen was a late round draft pick. Like,
yeah,
Darcy Kemper is like. There's lots of.
Oh yeah, the list is long in the tooth for sure. I get
Koskinen. I mean, I don't like Koskinen, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you're just again, my argument was that you kind of keep him in a position where that's one guy that's one thing you don't have to fix if you don't want to. You can fix all your forwards. You can absolutely yard sale it. You can get rid of pretty much anybody else on the back end, save Quinn Hughes.
Yep.
And I mean, I guess if there was the right, you need that anchor defenseman.
No, you have to, because that's the only thing on this roster. Yeah, you can find it. I know what people are probably going to hate me for this. You can find another Pettersson.
Yeah.
You can find another Miller. You can find another Horvat. There's a reason why this team has never had a Quinn Hughes, and that's because you have to draft those players. To. And you can only draft those players with high-end picks.
Mm-hmm. Or you absolutely luck out. I mean, Chicago had a pretty good run.
Yeah, I mean,
there was just so much talent in those few drafts where, I mean, they just hit on every single pick. So, is what it is. What it is. Speaking of hitting on picks here, we're gonna make sure that you hit big time on Christmas.
The old pick hitter.
We're gonna make sure that you hit this Christmas for yourself. First and foremost, we're partnered with Manscaped, as you may have seen in the corner here. What you need to know is all the glorious things about Manscaped. So last week, we were telling you, 4 million people worldwide, they trust Manscaped to keep their trees trim and their ornaments polished. All the products that Manscaped offered, from their anti-chafing boxers, they wrap your presents in the most perfect way. I wear them, you wear them. They even say Manscaped on them, so you can walk around. Look at me, king in the castle.
Oh, who's sitting on a chair?
Exactly. So, like, here's a few of the things you get. So you go and you get that performance package, and let me just find the picture here. We're gonna give it a quick little. Where's our performance package? I think this is it. That's the shed. I apologize.
The tool shed. Yeah.
here we go. I think this is it here. Performance Package 4.0. So you got the Lawnmower 4.0. You've got the Weed Whacker, gets in your nose hairs. I got a pretty hairy nose. You get the Ball Reviver. You get the Crop Preserver. You get a little bit of everything. So the Preserver, basically, you got your ball deodorant. You got your Reviver. It kind of keeps things feeling fresh. Your, where am I looking here? You got the Weed Whacker nose mirror, which is waterproof, uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system. Not one blade, 2 blades. I'm going to get rid of this picture so you can see my face. There we go. Cleans up the chimney, basically. The Lawnmower 4.0, you can use it. It's waterproof for the blade. Well, where am I here? The trimmers. If you're talking about the foot stuff, right? They've got whatchamacallit, go for it. You've got it's the foot deodorizer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So reduce foot odor. The Lawnmower reduces nicks, gets rid of all the ingrown hairs, keeps accidents to a minimum. Listen, go to manscaped.com, PP20 for 20% off at checkout. They're gonna love you because obviously, you're buying from them. We're gonna love it because we're helping our friends. I've got mine. It's one of those things. Once you have it, you're set. You're set. You know what you've got. It's one of those things that some people are like, oh, it's not something I necessarily buy for myself. Ladies, go get your husband to, say, hey, give me some Manscaped. Christmas time, you're going to be so happy you had it. So go over to manscaped.com, PP20, 20% off at the checkout. Your balls will thank you. And so will we. Anyway, that was fun.
Yeah.
So we talked about Thatcher Demko. It was funny because they played Montreal on Monday. Is that right? Yeah. And they fired Mark Bergevin. They've been clean house. They got Jeff Gorton, not the race car driver with a T.
Jeff Gorton.
Which is the guy I think the Canucks were looking at. Or
at one point, yeah.
At some point. So they go to the Stanley Cup final and lose. And they not clean house, but I mean, it's getting there. You may not see Ducharme there after the season, right? Like you've got to. They're going for it. They realize things are broken and they need to fix it. New York did it a few years ago. Hey, things aren't working out. Let's trade Lundqvist, even though he didn't have a high value. But let's get rid of the guys. Let's piece everything out. Let's throw it through the chop shop. Let's rebuild. The Canucks have been to the playoffs, twice in 8 years. They've been to the second round, technically, bubble playoffs once. And Jim Benning continues to be allowed to be at the helm, which is unfortunate because I think you need a proper president. They need to get back to structure. And I think that's the big thing. So Montreal's figured it out, and their owner comes out. Jeff Molson comes out and basically says, like, did you see that? His presser?
No, I didn't.
Man, like, I'd buy in. I bought in. I don't even cheer for that team. But because he came out and he got ahead of it, he didn't let it dictate in the media. He didn't let it stew so we can all be talking about it, so all the Vancouver media can be talking about it, making it their daily comments, their daily shows, where we start finding out or figuring out that maybe there's infighting in the dressing room or that this, that, and the other's happening. He gets out there and he ends it. You're gone. This is what's going to happen. We're going to make sure we have the right guys in place, and we're going to get back to where the Montreal Canadiens should be. That's how easy it is. Like, it is that easy. And for a guy, like, it's Jeff Molson. Dude's got some cash.
It really is that. I mean, we were talking earlier about the fact that they let Travis Green hang on for like months without a contract before they finally decided that he was the guy and signed him, right? Like, this team is just notorious for taking its time and seeming like it doesn't give a shit.
Mm-hmm. Like, how do you not know?
It's even Petey's and Hughes' contracts. I mean, took forever to get it done. Did you know that they're the guys? Do you know that they're the franchise players? Do you know that you want to sign them? Then fucking hurry up and do it. Like, even doing stuff like that doesn't play well to your relationships with players that are on this roster. Who wants to be part of something like that if you're treated in that way and you're just sort of dragged along? I'll use the Green thing for the same, the same idea. His contract took forever to get done. Mm-hmm. Everyone and their dog sees the writing on the wall for Jim Benning, but he's still here. They're taking their time we even lost the race to Montreal first to see who could fire their GM first.
Yeah.
Like what is it with, I understand that you need to be patient. I get it. That everything needs a level of patience. But when you know the answer to something and it's very, very clear, I don't understand what the need is to want to wait for seemingly forever on nearly every single decision. Like it was like, let's wait on Toffoli, didn't get signed. You know what I mean? Like, let's wait and sign. Oh, now we got to sign Pearson, and now everybody wants that gone. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like hurry up and wait with the squad. And I don't get it. I don't like it, and I think it's just so overrated and hyped. And if Jeff Gorton was a guy that you wanted on your squad, then why should you have done it a while ago? It should have. Maybe he wasn't, but I still think in the interim you could have an interim and start dealing with this stuff now and get out in front of it, like you said.
And like Ian Clark, and you've got, I mean, the list goes on, and yet they get all their tertiary guys. They're not even their secondary guys. Like the guys are like, wow, these are depth guys, like a Jason Dickinson or a Tucker Poolman, or like these guys are locked up instantly. And yet you wait for like your marquee players, the guys that you will hang banners on the building, that you paint on the big marquee in the arena, all of your advertising, everything. And you're like, we got to make sure it's the right deal.
Yeah, treated like it's your last priority.
These are your guys. When you got engaged to your wife, when I got engaged to my wife, it's not something like, wow, like is she really the one? Maybe you know what? I'm going to wait another year and just make sure this is a for sure thing. It doesn't work that way. If you know and you're ready, you just do it. You don't hum and haw, because the next thing you do, you screw it up because you thought too much about it. And then she thinks that you're not thinking what you should be thinking, and it gets messy. You do the right thing. If you like it, you should put a ring on it. Beyonce said that. Dash Michael Scott.
They need Beyonce here to be a personal
advisor.
They
do. They need Beyonce. The Canucks need Beyonce. There, I said it. It's official. Yeah. There was one question that I saw from the Twitterverse. Our good friend Steve came in, and where is this question here? Does the 2-game win streak of the basement teams give JB exactly what he needs to ruin this team for a little bit longer? And the really sucky thing is, yeah, it probably does. Like it's false hope. It's false hope. He now has 2 wins, so now they can go into the weekend riding a win streak. They're going to get absolutely pummeled against Pittsburgh on the weekend. And I think Brady was saying, is it San Jose's yet? Or no, LA. So LA is going to come. They're going to wax the Canucks as well. And it's going to go right back down. We're going to start on Monday all over again. Unless you're watching Monday Night Football, I much suggest that. Do that instead. A lot less heartache, unless you're my fantasy team. You got to pull the trigger, Vancouver. Like, you got to get ahead of this. Even though it is too late already, you can still make it happen. And we can kind of get behind that. Until then, it's just a mess.
So conventional wisdom says, Steve, no, this doesn't change a thing. Management's going to step in. Benning will be gone. Probably Green too, whether you like it or not. And there's going to be changes. But that's conventional wisdom. And this ownership group is anything but conventional. I mean, they just do whatever they want. And if somehow Benning ends up with some sort of extension from this, like, it wouldn't even surprise me. That's how screwy this whole thing is, right? So
I don't think that's going to happen, but I get what you're saying.
It won't. But like, they might just let it go for the whole season. They might just let it fester for a whole year. We have no idea. They might say, hey, Jimbo, we've taken away all of your abilities to trade. You can't make any decisions without us. You're basically there just making sure that the ship doesn't sink. And in the off season, we're going to reevaluate, meaning you're gone. And Jimbo would probably just be okay with that.
Like, that was a good run. Thanks, guys.
He'll just sit there, and then who knows? He's like, these guys are like, I hate saying this. These guys, him and Wiesbrod, are like cockroaches. They just keep hanging on. You can't get rid of them.
And you know what's going to be the worst part about all this? It's going to start affecting the roster. You're going to get the Ryan Kessler situation. Oh, I heard you ask for a trade. No, I didn't. Yeah, I did.
It's already happening.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Like, we saw Nate Schmidt. You know what sucks? That we never got to see the real Nate Schmidt. or that there was an opportunity to keep. And I'm not going to go. No, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go to the Calgary and Montreal road of the guys that left. But you know what I mean? Like, we had an opportunity. This team actually had an opportunity to still be relevant, and they didn't have to go this route. And you know what? I bet Jim Benning probably would still have a job that we're not questioning as much. And I bet Travis Green is probably in a very different position. And think of all that. Think of where they could have been, where Aquilini could have been. He wouldn't have to be thinking about his his puppet in front that is answering. He wouldn't have to worry about all that. He can go on, I own the Vancouver Canucks. All is good. Things aren't great, but things are moving along. They could have had all those things happen, but instead they let it get to this point. So they win 2 games. Happy times for me and you. Sadly, this will not last very long.
Just waiting for that shoe to drop.
Yeah, you want to do a quick dudes and guys? We don't need the segment. Who's your dude of the week? Who's your guy of the week?
What do you want first?
Let's do guys, because that's always easier to do.
I will say Canucks bottom pairing would be my dude for this week in all of their games. Just looked generally atrocious.
It was bad. If they're out there, bad news.
Where plays go to die. Just continuing to get exposed.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing wrong with the guys that are there. They're just seventh defensemen, right? So you can't ask them to do jobs that they're not supposed to be doing and then expect better results, right? So, and it's not all their fault because there was a lot of bad hockey on this team, including some good hockey. But I'll just give it to the bottom pairing in general.
That's fair. I'm gonna go with Dowling.
Who?
After tonight's game, exactly. He was on a breakaway. He shouldn't have even been in that position. To be honest, it should have just been another player. Justin Dowling, I'm throwing you under the bus for really no reason whatsoever. Everyone is pretty much a liability in the last week or so. Things are getting slightly better, but you know what? I saw the replay and I'm like, man, he just kind of came in there, one shot, done. See ya.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing to go there. And I mean, whatever. I'm grasping at straws. So I want to get to the good stuff. Who's your dude?
I think you should go first.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna go with you know what? I'm gonna go JT Miller.
Yeah.
I think for all the obvious, the goal tonight was just phenomenal. JT Miller, his give a bleep meter is still very, very high. He's still vocal.
Surly.
We're blessed. We're blessed to have that man on our hockey team. And no, we do not have the man formerly from LA who came over and I'm still bitter about. But you know what? We still have JT Miller. And as long as he's a Vancouver Canuck, things will
You mean Tanner Pearson,
sure.
That's King, right? Yeah.
That's the one I was thinking of for sure.
Nailed it.
Yeah, JT Miller has been so much to this team, even through the absolute worst of it all. And I mean, he's just slaying it. Dude's got 23 points. You said he had a 4-point night tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. That was
3-point night. Sorry.
3-point night.
Yeah, just he was all over the place. JT Miller's he's so much fun to watch. Like his aggression, his emotion in game is just something else. And like I said, I hope he's one of those guys that they do realize that should be here, to finish his tenure in the NHL as a Vancouver Canuck. Because I think sometimes you forget you've got that talented of a player on your team. JT Miller, you're my dude of the week, bud.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Looking back here real quick, it's very. I may have slipped up here and could have easily taken Elias Pettersson as a guy of the week.
I was thinking it.
Only 11 points. I
was thinking it.
He's fifth in team scoring. He's leading the team in minus rating.
He's just shook,
It's just not that good. I mean, there's just.
It's not that he's just shook. Like there is something there. We know he's talented.
He's a shell of himself right now, though.
Yeah, it's something needs to just snap, or I don't know what it is, but maybe I don't know. Just give him like new line mates for the next 10 games. I don't care. Put him on the second line. Put him on the third line. and just let him toil away and just get like those, like the garbage yards, like get those garbage points. Let him start greasing out again. Just don't allow him to get that clapper off. Make him work for his goals. Because that's what he has that has worked, but it's not working anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Put me in, coach.
My dude of the week, I'm going to go off the board a little bit. It's just somebody that I have noticed in the last little while whose play has really improved, gone from about 10, 11 minutes a night to 13, 16, 15, back down to 10 and 11 for the last couple of games, but literally just looks like a very solid NHLer. And in my opinion, probably could play somewhere on the top 2 lines on this squad. And that's Vasily Podkolzin.
He's been impressive.
Yeah, I feel confident when he's out on the ice, and it's very strange. I don't feel like he's getting himself into too much trouble. I feel like he's asserting himself physically. Mm-hmm. He is doing things with the puck that you do when you feel like you got a little bit of jam in your game and you got a little bit of confidence. And quite frankly, he doesn't look out of place playing anywhere along the players that are on this squad. And he seems to be giving more than just about everybody else, save for a few players. So very impressed with Podkolzin's game, especially over the last little week here when it seemed like a lot of players were mailing in and it wasn't VP.
Whatever he's been asked to do, he's done. His shot is lethal. Like he has an elite NHL shot when given the opportunity.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how he was stapled to a bench in a KHL game for a guy that comes in with this kind of skill and looks like he can acquit himself extremely well.
Because he wasn't going to sign long term, and that's how the systems run out there. It's stupid. It's stupid.
Winning's. I like winning better.
Oh, I love winning. Winning's great. I don't know what that looks like, but I do like it. I remember what it looked like. I remember the good times and the before times and the always never was. So it's been fun. We had a good time. Wednesday night, PP1 Podcast. Canucks win 2. Happy times for me and you. Any final words, sir?
I think we're all just waiting. Just waiting. And while you have time, if you have time, you should go rewatch Ryan Reynolds in Waiting.
Could do that. We could do that. Was that the one where he's the chef?
He works at that restaurant that reminds you of Shenanigans with all the shit on the walls.
Oh, that's a gross movie. But it's a good one.
It's a good one though.
It's a good one. Yeah,
we just watched Red Notice too. Have you seen Red Notice?
I haven't seen that. No, I haven't.
It's like watching. It's very strange. It's fun. It's like watching 5 different kinds of movies all at once.
Yeah, I need to see that. We're getting there. We've started like a handful of things. Saw the new James Bond, so that was pretty good. So we're getting there. We're making headway. There's a few more. Saw Jungle Cruise again. Great movie.
Daniel Craig's last. It was contractually his last Bond movie. So the guy that they're rumoring now is Idris Elba.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I really think they might go with, and I don't know her name. She was in the movie.
Yeah, but, that chick is badass.
Yeah, so I don't know. She did a pretty good job. So if she takes over, yeah. I mean, Idris Elba's badass too. So wouldn't mind seeing him take over the role. But you know what? Whatever they do, I'm sure they're going to make a great movie out of it. So This has been the PP1 Podcast. On behalf of my good friend Ted, myself, I'm Ryan. We're on the Dean Blundell Network. We're presented by Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, PP20 for 20% off. Take care of your boys. They'll take care of you. Summerskates. Nobody offered it up. It's still there. 3-for-1 deal. Hit me up. I'm Ryan, PP1 Podcast. Peace out.